Hey everyone, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Haven Cottage Event Center, okay? It is opening in spring. That is right around the corner. And that is a perfect time to host any kind of small to medium sized occasions. What do you want? Business? Receptions? Art? Whatever it is, just call, send an email, and I bet your event is going to be approved. The phone number and email is all in the description down below. Haven Cottage Event Center. Enjoy the high notes of life the right way.
One more podcast. It is time for another one. One more podcast.
Okay, so welcome to the One More podcast. As you can tell, this is a little bit of a different format. I am by myself, or am I? I have a virtual guest here. We've been trying to get this done for a few weeks now, and we are finally doing it. So if it's horrible, it's horrible. If it's not, it's not. Would you like to introduce yourself, my magnificent guest?
Hello, I'm Cole. I'm the magnificent guest.
Ah, yes, indeed. There you go. You see, he's an ominous voice all the way in Austin. So we are doing a album review, as you could tell from the title, and we are doing the Logic new, I guess you can call it an EP mixtape type dealio thing. So, I mean, we're just going to discuss it, talk about it, because this is his, millionth sequential. Well, okay, Cole wouldn't know because we're doing a little different here. Let me explain what we're doing. Let's back it up a little bit. So Logic released a new EP / mixtape, whatever you want to call it, and we have very interesting opinions on it. And so we're going as me being the fan. I've been listening to Logic since he released his first studio album, and I've listened to a few of his songs on mixtapes on the quote-unquote olden days. So me as a fan reviewing the album, and then Cole, who has listened to a few songs here and there, nothing like, not going through any full albums or anything like that. So I thought it would be interesting to have differencing in opinions and say, okay, what is a newcomer to an old comer? We thought that it would be interesting to kind of talk about it and discuss. So again, his new EP mixtape thing dropped on Friday, and so we are now going to talk about it because that is what I value in life, and yay. So, Cole, if you are unaware or aware, I forget how many of the music reviews that we've done. Generally, what I want to do is go through each song. So we'll just hit each song and kind of discuss it. Don't talk a long time about it unless it's significant to the review of it as a whole. But then hit the kind of album as a whole, what we think about it, and then kind of discuss. And then also, what's special about this one that we didn't do in past episodes that I want to do for Cole specifically, we're going to take a break, and then Cole is we're going to listen together through some of his older songs, and I'm going to stick with, and I'll explain it in a little bit, but I'm going to stick with just album logic. So some of his older album work, because there's definitely a difference in the style. So just kind of before and after, how you view the album, and what you think about where Logic is now versus when he first started doing his studio albums. So, I mean, without further ado, let's just jump into it. So the album Bobby Tarantino 2 is a thing, and I don't know if this is a style that he's been doing now, or that this is just going to be his thing where. And even then, before I even say that, I think I think Logic is almost done with his music making career, because I think Thomas said that he was done or something like that. Or I mean, even in the Everybody album, which was the third studio album, he said kind of that he was done, but I don't know if he's done, because obviously he released this new music, so not 100% sure.
Right.
But this is kind of his off the main line. So just like with Eminem and a few other rappers, they kind of have the quote-unquote alter egos. I think Logic has kind of this, as Bobby Tarantino is his alter ego. So he released, I think it was 2016, he released Bobby Tarantino 1, and I'll hit that later, how I view the differences in the two, since obviously, Cole, you haven't listened to it. So before jumping into each track, set the mood, Cole. What did you think as a newbie coming into this? Good, bad, horrible?
Uh, uh, hmm. Just listenable.
Okay.
Just barely reaching that point of listenable.
Okay.
For me, I'm not the biggest fan of this style of kind of auto-tune, sing-songy hip-hop.
Sure.
Or, if I listen to it, I want it to be, like, really top-notch, and this wasn't for me.
Okay.
And also, he kind of, I guess it was it on Overnight or Grandpa's Spaceship, one of the first tracks, he even said, like, this is mixtape logic. This is him just kind of doing his thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of that right there sets the mood for what you get going in. It's just him throwing together a bunch of tracks, trying to sound badass and cool and be fire, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so, like, that, I felt like that's what I got. I didn't feel like there was any kind of coherency to a lot of it. It was very repetitive. It was just, I mean, it was okay. Overall, that's my, if I had to sum it up, it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
There were some tracks that I genuinely really enjoyed, and then tracks that I genuinely did not enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the album art. So
yes,
I mean,
that is one thing we can hit. Definitely, and even Cole brought this up. The artist that has done all of his studio albums and in even the EP mixtapes and stuff like that. I just think the art is phenomenal. I think it's interesting. It's different. I haven't really seen any kind of album art like that. So I like the kind of realism, but it's drawn, and you can tell that it's drawn. It's not like drawn to be super realistic, but there's still kind of that. I would love to see like
there's character to it.
Yeah, exactly. I would love to see like a TV show or something like that, or even like just a mini series of just like art in that art style, if that's even possible. Because I know I feel like that kind of art style takes like a lot of work. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. I could picture this being like Logic releasing some sort of comic with it, like
that'd
a
be cool.
Bobby Tarantino comic.
That'd be cool. I would definitely check that out. So, but anyways, so one last thing before we jump into each song, just kind of to Cole for your information / people who are not super familiar with Logic. I have essentially categorized Logic into 3 subsections, and then within those 3 subsections, 2 subsections. So I know it's kind of a lot of division in the specific artist, and I know that there are some artists that have even more like different types of what the artist is, but essentially I categorize Logic into the EP mixtape Logic. So again, like what you mentioned before about this is clarifying that this is kind of just him doing himself. There's and then I divide it into the early album and then late album, because I think there is a huge shift of the style of music, along with the kind of what am I trying to say? Style of music along with the attitude, I guess, of each album. And then within those 2 subsections, you have party Logic, and then I guess I call them chill Logic, or just less than 3 people listening to Logic, because there's definitely this EP is definitely sprinkled in both. Whereas like for example, and what we'll listen to later, the Under Pressure album is definitely more chill Logic. It's heavy dominant on chill Logic. It's not like you can throw this on a party and everyone's jamming and jumping and stuff. It's very much a let's all sit around the couch or whatever and listen and chill and talk and whatever. It's not the everyone's jumping up and down going crazy to Nicki or whatever. So yeah, so going in, starting off, I thought the Rick and Morty intro was kind of cool. Definitely, it had that was something that I could expect from Logic. Because he did in the 3rd season, he did make a cameo into one of the episodes. So definitely having a connection with the studio and being able to pull those strings, I thought it was cool. I definitely didn't have any. I actually it kind of set the bar a little higher than what I expected. I was like, oh, okay, this is an interesting intro. No one has really or I wouldn't say no one, but not a lot of people would have done something like that. So do you agree, disagree?
Right. I agree. To me, it felt like it was him flaunting his his status, and he's like, "Look at the people I know," type of thing.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, for this style of album, it works.
Mm-hmm.
One thing, I mean, this is getting into other kind of topics and stuff.
That's a good tangent. Go ahead.
But is it almost feels like it dates the album though, because Rick and Morty was such kind of it had its explosion, and then after the whole Szechuan sauce stuff, it now kind of there's a negative air about Rick and Morty, and I think listening to this, it's gonna be like, oh, like I can't believe that happened, or remember that. I think it really dates the album.
Yeah, I kind of see that. I don't think personally, to me, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because it's just sure. I think if this was a full studio album, I think you'd want to avoid it. But if this is just something that he was working on in his own studio recording session or whatever, and he just made this, mostly on his own. I'm sure he's had a lot of help from producers and other people, but for the most part, it was on his own. I don't know. I think it's all right. For me, it didn't detract from the overall. That's not what gave the score that it gave.
Oh, right. Same here. I didn't dislike it at all. It was entertaining, and I like those characters and stuff.
Sure.
So it was fun. I just think in the big picture, it kind of just puts a big timestamp on the album, which, like I said, isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just a thing.
True. So moving in, Overnight is the next song. I definitely, and definitely tune in if you ever have anything to say or whatever. I'm not trying to dominate the conversation, but the notes I wrote down, this is definitely kind of a party song. This is and you'll see, I think we should establish this now. In this EP mixtape thing, you'll have a overall theme of not a very diverse instrumental behind it, and it's kind of, you have a bass line and you have a beat, and then it's just gonna repeat over and over and over again. And going through my second time, you kind of get that if this, okay, because I guess real quick before we're gonna tangent again. Yes, this is, Cole, I agree, this is kind of like the logic, off-season logic, I guess, that we get. But he's been releasing an album / EP / mixtape every single year for the past, I don't know, 7 years or 8 years or 9 years. Or, I don't know. Whenever he first released his compilation of songs, every single year he came out with something new. So I know what he can do in that year time period, and I know how much effort and energy he can put into a album. And so when you kind of have these, I guess it almost, for me, going into this album, I had this expectation of, all right, this is, there are a few tracks that we'll listen to later that I think really speak to what he can do. And then now it's like, oh, with Overnight, it's kind of coming short. Plus, this was one of the 3 songs that he released before the EP thing came out. So I don't know. His flow's all right. I think it was kind of goofy a little bit with Overnight. Some of the lines, I wrote down the I treat everyone with respect, now I'm rich. How he kind of delivers it is sort of this. He's not trying to be hard, but he's kind of be funny / being genuine. I don't know. I don't know if that hit well for me. But I definitely think that listening to second track technically kind of sets the mood for the, you kind of know what to expect for the rest of the album or EP.
For sure. This song sets the tone for the whole thing. It's him bragging. It's women, money, drugs, and look how great I am. That is what the song is, and that's what the rest of the album is. Like I said, I felt the album was very repetitive, and I felt like for the most part the album was this song, just with different instrumental change ups and different flows. Save for a few songs.
Yes.
when I heard this song when it was dropped as
The
single preview track, and I actually liked it, but then listening to it on the album, I didn't at all. I don't know why. It just like it didn't click, and I felt myself actually like wanting to go hit the pause button, and I'm like, well, wait, what am I doing? I gotta listen to the rest of the album.
Right. It was definitely one of those songs where you'd hit skip to then get to the next song, but one thing I will say I really like, and I don't know, and I'll probably repeat this a couple times, but I don't like autotune logic. I don't know why he does it. I don't know if it's a producer who says, hey, you need to have, if you're going to go with this style of music, you need to have autotune, or I don't know if it's a self-confidence thing, but it's like when he sings naturally, I think he has a good voice. I like when he does the sing-songy parts. There have been, in albums before where he does the sing-songy rap kind of style, and it doesn't have autotune, and it's great. I think, but even then, he comments about it. I forget which song. I was trying to look for it before we started, but one of the songs he actually goes something like, "Now I'm gonna pump up the autotune," and you guys are. He essentially says, "I'm gonna pump up the autotune, but now you have to deal with it," or something like that. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's him or he's again, like I said, self-conscious, or I don't know what it is.
Well, I think I can't remember which song it is, but he does straight up mention that this song is to or this album is to prove that he can do any style he wants.
Okay, I guess.
There's a line where he's like, yeah, I'm doing that boom bap style. I can do that trap stuff. I can do anything I want. I'm Logic. I'm the greatest. I'm the coolest.
Right.
And that's kind of what this album, like I said, I haven't listened to the other ones, so I don't know what he normally raps about. But this album almost comes off, if you're saying you don't like autotune logic and like he normally doesn't do this kind of stuff, this album comes off like he's trying to say, hey, look, I can be a part of the mainstream. I can be a part of the current trends and be cool and stuff. Because you said that he was like semi-retiring.
Yeah.
And then he dumps this out there. So it's kind of like, never mind. I'm retiring, but guys, I'm relevant still. I'm relevant still.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure. And I don't know, because it's like, and it's hard for me to be critical because, with every single band, there's always a shift in style. It's hard for band. I mean, there are some that do it, and good on them for just pandering to their crowd, and they know what they're good with, and so they keep producing that. But that there are some artists that they go from the beginning to the end, and they're totally changed. I mean, just a classic example that comes to mind is the Beatles. Like, being young and just starting this band and getting this popularity, and then the Please Please Me album with just that, it's just kind of that traditional 60s rock music, all the way to Abbey Road, where they're doing all this different experimental stuff, and there are plenty of other bands that have done it, and I can't it's not like I can say, hey, Logic, stop it, because he's a person and he has his own wants and wants to try different things. That's awesome. It's just, I think I guess moving forward, if he does come out with another album, I think at this point he needs to really take a look at what did well, what was better received by everyone, and what he enjoys. Because if I'm going to be honest, if he likes doing this more than The Incredible True Story and Under Pressure, those two earlier albums, then that's new Logic. And I guess that's how I make that distinction is, will I keep listening to him? Maybe. I don't know. Depends. I think at this point, being a fan, I'm just gonna have to bear with it, I guess. But I don't know about Cole. I don't know if you'll listen to the new one, depending if he keeps the same style or not.
Nah.
Right.
I'm not really into this kind of stuff. This, for being my first Logic album, wasn't necessarily a good introduction, I don't think.
Right.
I feel like on certain tracks, I'll point them out when we get to them, things shine through where I'm like, oh, okay, I like that. But as a whole, it's like, I'm not saying this is bad, because I know people like this kind of stuff. just for me, it's just too repetitive. It's annoying almost.
Yeah,
I just get annoyed listening.
I agree to an extent. The next one, we'll move into the next song. Whoop, I keep hitting my mic. Contra. So, one thing that I immediately picked up from this one was and this is sprinkled throughout the whole album EP. And it's the call outs. It's the repeating, like where he says a verse and then you have some other guy or himself repeat that same like half of the verse or a song or a single word or whatever. And I never really liked that. I mean, if it's like in one song, okay, great. But since this is a reoccurring theme where he spits a line and then some guy repeats the last couple of words and then it's just over and over. And I just think that's, again, plays to that repetitiveness. And I'm just like, you know, you didn't really use this a lot in your old music, at least from what I remember. You know, the older music that you had, you never really done this. So if this is just a trying out a new style, if you want to try and be that quote unquote trap music or whatever you want to call this style, great. If this is experimenting for you, awesome. But I didn't necessarily like it.
Right. This song is a good example of what I don't like about this style, where the verse is super, super short, and the chorus is super, super long, and it just keeps repeating the chorus over and over, and then the chorus itself is already repetitive, going like, bitch, I've been blowing up, bitch, I've been blowing up, and it just repeats that, you know, like you said with the shout-outs. And it's like, I would have been fine with that if that was like the ending of the chorus or the beginning or the whatever, because it does hype you up. But when the chorus takes up like over half the song and it just keeps doing it over and over, it's like, oh, okay, I get it.
And I don't want to say this definitively because I'm not sure, but it almost feels like this is just a song to be a song. And you know, I don't ever really hold on, let me start over. I don't think that I've ever gotten the impression from Logic that he just spits out songs to spit out songs, because I know that there are artists that do that where they need to hit, you know, 13 songs or 14 songs or whatever for their album, and so they play something, oh, it's okay, let's just, you know, see where it is, you know, because like for example Muse, I think every single song that they make, it comes from a place of like they built this from the ground up. And I don't want to say, I just don't want to slap on the, yeah, Logic just makes songs to make songs. I feel like he has passion behind the songs, but when you have songs like this where it does the repeating and it does the, you know, the lyrical content isn't like, it's because another overall theme goes on is he's just saying the same things. It's not like you have an Eminem who tries to section his life into, you know, different parts, and each album, sure, it might have some of the same themes, but you know, the stories and the content is different. Whereas with this one, it's like you're saying the same stuff that you were saying in Bobby Tarantino 1 and in Under Pressure. Like, it's not like, and I get it if he's trying to do a new audience, and so with the current music, he wants people to know his backstory and, you know, knows that he does this kind of stuff, whatever. But I think, you know, I liked it, and again, I'll reference Eminem again, because each album had some kind of different story. It's not like, you know, sure, he had songs that were the, you know, I get money, I'm, you know, famous, blah, 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 whatever, that's fine. But he also had, you know, a big chunk of songs that, you know, he was experimenting when his Proof died, you know, talking about, you know, the whole, I mean, I just think the whole Encore album is just different sections, especially, and I'm not trying to like talk about Eminem the whole time, but there's just there's differencing in the songs. Like, you know what I'm saying, Cole?
Right. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Eminem actually does repeat a lot of what he says, but his skill is in saying it in different ways, so it's not as straight up, you know.
Well, I don't
copy. What I'm saying is with this though, if you're saying this is a repeat of Bobby Tarantino 1 or whatever, it's going to be pretty obvious when the lyrics are just saying, you know, I'm famous now, I have money, I have what, and not putting it in a different kind of way. If the song itself is repetitive, you're going to notice the repeats of songs in general.
Right. And I mean, like I said, you're right. But it's just like I'm thinking like the Eminem show, and then Encore, and then Relapse Refill. Sure, there's this. I'm talking about Eminem at this point. The 3 albums here, they do have the same things where they're talking, but like going from the I don't think there have been songs, and again, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think there have been songs where he talks about the same kind of stuff that he talks about on the Eminem show, because Haley's song, Say Goodbye to Hollywood. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, obviously
he has his.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, just what I'm referencing is every album he has a song about Kim and a song about his mom. Every album.
True.
That's what I'm saying. Is he has themes and topics he's always revisiting. He just manages to put it in
a different
way, so it sounds
that makes sense. Yeah, but
this is actually this podcast is a review of Revival, Eminem Revival.
Yeah, so, we're pulling a 360 here and not talking about how bad that is. Anyways, moving on. The boom bap rap. I liked it. I mean, it was not horrible. I mean, it did have the auto-tune sing-songy, but I think the beat was a little bit different and a little different, interesting kind of. Sure, it was. I from my memory, it was kind of repetitive, but
this was the first beat that I like. I was like, okay, I like this beat.
So and even then, I think calling it the boom bap rap, it's like, okay, this is going to be the style. It's like you know what you're getting into. I just wish it was better. I mean, it was okay. I mean, I think it was a solid song. Then the next song is Yuck, which I thought it was okay. Like, do you get when I was saying and I don't know if this is a direct reference from Eminem or whatever, but like at the beginning of the song, he's like, and he doesn't, the intro is like, this is Paul, but the last name is different. I forget what it is, but essentially he goes, this is Paul Rosenberg, your faithful attorney at law. And then,
this is. I thought that was interesting because the guy's name is Paul Rothenberg.
Oh, Rothenberg.
And he actually is. Yeah, well, but Eminem's is
Rosenberg. Oh, so are they two different people?
They're two different people.
Oh, I didn't. Well, okay, I didn't take the extra 3 seconds to look up if Paul Rothenberg was an actual person. I thought he was just changing it just to make that like quote unquote reference or whatever, because just to make the reference.
Right.
So, but
yeah, no, they're two different people, which was that's weird. So
interesting, yeah. But still, I definitely think the reason, okay, not the reason why he put it in, but it's in there because he heard the Eminem, the whole Paul Rosenberg Eminem thing. I don't think that's just a normal thing to put a comment from your attorney at law into it without like. I don't know. I just because Eminem did it first, and I just think everyone's copying off of Eminem, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
And let's see. This was the first song that I think he starts mentioning the Rat Pack, and I don't know if this is something he brings up on other albums, but I was getting really annoyed with him constantly. Like after the song, he mentions Rat Pack like on every other song.
Yeah. It's.
Afterward, it's like, okay, I get it. Stop. That's another thing. Like, I get that's the culture right now. Reference your team, reference your crew and stuff. But when people are just constantly name dropping their things, it's like, well, now I don't even care to look you up. Like, if you said it once, I'd be like, all right, cool. But now you're just trying to hammer it. It's like your crew will never be popular. I don't care about your crew. I'm listening to you.
Well,
shut up.
You say it. It's kind of funny. I think probably the 3 things that you can quote Logic from is, and this is kind of the overall, like just like Eminem's Kim, mom, daughter sort of he raps about. Same thing with Eminem, same thing with Logic. It's biracial, struggles he had being biracial, Rat Pack,
he has
and then peace, love, and positivity. That's his like 3 kind of, if you were to describe Logic with 3 bullet points, that's what it would be. Not to say that's bad.
Is that line about black and white like a piano?
Right.
I thought that was funny.
One other thing, I thought this was kind of interesting, and like, and again that to make a comment on that the flow of the whole album and stuff like that. He had a line, I forget what it is, but I essentially summarized, and this is in the Yuck song. I essentially summarized it saying, "I'm holy and better than you, and I'm not going to have any beef with anybody." Like he was I forget the specific lines, but he was saying, I'm not gonna rap about beef because I'm happy with myself, and the only reason why you're rapping about beef is because you're jealous of me and you're insecure or something like that. Which, like, okay, I get it. It's a different take. You're not just gonna be like, I'm a thug, I'm hard, whatever. Great, you're happy with yourself. But I think it could have been worded differently, and it could have been I don't know. It felt kind of cheesy, I guess is the word.
Well, the thing is, I was reading about this track because of that line. This song actually is a beef track, supposedly, against Joyner.
Oh, really?
Joyner Lucas. Because Joyner Lucas tweeted on the day this album came out saying, quote, "Say some names next time, scary ass." Quote.
Oh, okay. Okay. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't get that.
This whole song was supposedly a beef song.
Oh, okay.
Just it was him trying to be subtle with it, I guess.
I don't know either. Okay. Then there was the Indica Habu, or what was it? Hadu? What is it? I forget the name of the...
Yeah. Indica Badu.
That's right.
Yeah. Like that, with Wiz Khalifa.
Yeah. I like this song.
So this song, I like this beat. And he even says that Jay Dilla right there. I love Jay Dilla. So I like this beat. This song, though, at the end, it was so cringy where he's like, if you don't know by now, I smoke weed. Wiz Khalifa. I smoke weed.
No. He was like, he was mimicking him, and he's like, Wiz Khalifa's gonna drop me a verse, but not do the laugh or something like that. So,
right, that whole outro was cringy to me. Like, I'm like, I understood it was a song about weed. You don't have to.
Definitely. I get that he was talking about weed. I think everyone listening to the song knows that he was talking about weed. I think Logic has handled outros better. This was not one of the better outros, but overall I still will listen to the song probably a few times in the future, just because it is a nice song. Like, this is definitely, I think this is a single worthy song. Like, it definitely was shining out of all of the music. It shined the most in my eyes. I think this shined the most out of all of them.
Okay, this wasn't my favorite, but it was a highlight for me. It's just that outro just kind of soils it for me, because it makes him, just like this whole album is him trying to be like, hey, look, I can do other styles and I'm cool and stuff. It makes him sound like he's a 16-year-old putting out his first EP, and he's like, guys, I smoked that dank kush.
I mean, I think he's just trying to have fun with it. So, and I mean, Logic, and I guess this is just being a fan. It's just Logic is pretty goofy, and he's like, he's always had this kind of, he's
also biracial.
He's biracial. I don't know. I didn't think it was so horrible. Definitely not the worst, or not the best, but Midnight kind of just, the next song we're talking about now. Midnight kind of was just another auto-tuned, just not much new, which is kind of the same old.
I loved part 2, hated part 1.
Yeah. I do like that is kind of the Logic style of doing that swap mid-song. He's done that multiple times before, which I do appreciate. So it's always that style of mixing it up and not keeping it the same. Appreciate it. Warm It Up, I think, was the next song. It was.
I wasn't a fan of it.
It was okay.
Wait, no. Sorry. I was a fan.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, change pick your lane, Cole.
Well, sorry, I thought this was a different one.
Sure.
This is the Young Sinatra one?
I think this is the featuring Young Sinatra. Hold on, I can look.
Yeah, I like this one.
Yeah, Warm It Up was the Young Sinatra. I liked it. It was okay. I mean, okay. The reason why I'm saying it's okay was because he swapped back to the Bobby Tarantino. Because he would do like a callback to because the Young Sinatra. For those who not very aware, Cole, I'm sure you're aware of who Young Sinatra is.
I looked him up. I haven't listened to any of the
Sure,
EPs.
right. So Young Sinatra was the early Logic. His first starting out. I think he went up to like Young Sinatra 3, or I forget what albums and stuff that EPs.
Yeah, it was
3. 3. So Young Sinatra was kind of that classic, not necessarily 90s hip hop, but kind of just the I'm going to spit my verses and I'm going to show that I can rhyme and I can rap and I have flow, and it's just the traditional I'm good and I'm going to show you that I'm good. He had something to prove at this point, I think, was kind of the theme. So when he was kind of calling back to Young Sinatra, I liked it. When he then would swap back to the Bobby Tarantino personality, I thought it was okay. I mean, it wasn't bad. I definitely liked the song. I just I thought it was all right. One thing I did really like, he actually made a reference to the Under Pressure intro, which is the very first song on Under Pressure. Literally, the song's called Intro. When he said falling back like September. I forget in what reference it is to, but I was listening to Under Pressure earlier today, and at the beginning he says like the line something 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 fallen, like these kids are falling back like September again. So I don't know.
Yeah.
There are a couple songs, and it's not like super obvious, but there are a couple songs where he references his older stuff. So it's not just like, you know, in the whole theme of I can do whatever, I can do anything, and then he goes like, oh, I did this, I did that, or whatever. So that was kind of nice. It's still doing call outs though. He does the Bobby or whatever
Yeah.
call outs. So
Well, see, that's what I thought. Why I liked this was because there was that back and forth. Because in the chorus, he says "fuck that rap shit, this that trap shit, Bobby," and that was him going back to Bobby Tarantino
Right.
for that. And then Sinatra comes back and he's like, "Fuck that trap shit, this that rap shit," which means he's aware that he's switching up, you know, styles on this
Right.
album and whatnot. And this whole track, I assume, is for those hardcore fans. It's like this is fan
Sure,
service for people.
sure. And I mean,
And I
yeah,
liked it.
I mean, it was a good song, anyways. The Wizard song, Wizard of Oz, I thought it was just a basic song, more auto tune, nothing special to it. Anything, Cole, from you on that one?
Yeah, I don't really have much to say about it. The beat was generic. This is the one where he says, "Increase the auto tune so y'all could feel pain."
Oh, okay, this is
Which,
where he
you know,
says the auto tune.
It's like referencing, you know, all those. What I took from it is it's referencing all those SoundCloud rappers, but I realized it's probably referencing T-Pain.
Oh, I thought it was just referencing himself. So just because he was doing a bunch of auto tune as well.
Oh,
Well, I don't know. That's how I took it. So, State of Emergency with 2 Chainz. I've never listened to 2 Chainz, like just his own studio albums and stuff like that. And this is the second time I've ever heard 2 Chainz featured in a song. The first time was with the Forever song with Eminem and Drake and Kanye. And it seems like every single time, and okay, I say every single time, but the 2 times 2 Chainz has been in it, you kind of almost get like his own personal spin on it. Because I say in the Forever song, you had the same traditional beat, but then when he came on to spit his verse, he added like a piano lick in it, and I thought that was nice. Same thing. I don't know. If I listen to 2 Chainz, I could probably say, yeah, he probably put his.
2 Chainz wasn't on the Forever song.
Who was that then? I thought it was 2 Chainz.
That was Kanye, Drake, and then what's his face, Wheezy, Lil Wayne.
Oh, that was Lil Wayne?
2 Chainz was on the.
Oh,
Yeah, 2 Chainz was on. He was on a song though. 2 Chainz was on Chloroseptic.
Oh, then never mind. I like Lil Wayne. I take it back. I take it all back. That was my brain fart. Sorry. Well then, I don't know. I still thought it was different. Like it wasn't like I thought when I came to this song, it definitely sounded different. So that's why I made the connection. I was like, oh, this sounds different because he's in the song. So it was okay. It was good. It was a good song. It wasn't bad. So
yeah, it wasn't the greatest, but it was refreshing. Yep. Here's someone else's stuff on there.
Do you have anything else to say on this one?
No.
Okay.
Not really.
What's Up with Big Sean? I thought Big Sean outshined Logic by a million years. It was not saying Logic's part was like dead god awful. I just think Big Sean coming into this, and Big Sean was featured also in Under Pressure, and same thing. Like he did really well in Under Pressure. So like, I think anytime I've heard Big Sean, I'm like, oh, this is Big Sean. He's pretty good. So I thought his flow was better. I think Big Sean was able to within the beat and within the kind of the rhythm that they were going for, he was able to kind of purposefully stumble his speech, where he sort of just was almost to a point where he was talking rhythmically, not just like actually trying to rap along with the beat. I don't know. I would listen to this song for Big Sean. That's my only comment.
Yeah, same here. I liked it. It's a solid track.
Yep. Anything else on that?
Not really. I'm trying to quickly scroll through the lyrics.
Oh, sure.
See if there was anything that
he had a
stood out.
line. He was like something about like I should start my own church, something because I'm more whole. I forget what the line is. I want to look it up too. Or can you?
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm a lyricist myself, and I'm not like saying, "Oh, I'm good, so I know lyrics." Blah blah. I like paying attention to lyrics, and I like trying to read. It's just a personal thing I enjoy. And one thing on this album, and like with a lot of these songs, is the lyrics just they don't click for me. There's nothing to. I'm reading through, and they all kind of blend together.
It's
for the
real
most
quick,
part.
So blessed, I might just have him make a whole gospel album. I think I thought that was funny / clever / I appreciated it at least. But anything else?
No,
Okay.
not really. The point I was trying to make is the lyrics on a lot of these songs are kind of boring.
Yeah.
And then people like Big Sean come in, and it's like, oh, cool. I kind of like that.
He definitely and we had conversations about this album earlier as well. When I was going through my first through listen, and I think the kind of the overall theme, Logic is definitely not like spitting anything that's like, whoa, that's so cool. Like, hey man, you have to check this thing out that he said. It's like super like clever and blah blah blah. He's definitely had way cleverer, I guess if that is a word, lines, and there's definitely been other songs where I'm like, hey man, you have to listen to the song, Cole. I know I've pushed a few Logic songs on you, but yeah, and the last two we can clump together because I want to get to the re-listen, but Every Day and 44 More, these were both singles that he released before the album dropped. Out of the two, I like Every Day more because Marshmello was able to make a better beat, I think, and that's about it.
I liked 44 more.
You like 44 more?
It was like the Frank Sinatra, or not Frank Sinatra,
Young Sinatra.
Whatever. What is it? What is the song we were just talking about?
Warm It Up.
Yeah, Warm It Up. It was like Warm It Up. It was just raw verse, and I like that. I enjoyed it. The beat wasn't anything special, but the song itself, he just kept going, and I like that.
So yeah, I mean, I think the last two, they were okay, or not okay. They were good. They were an okay to the end. I think he probably could have done something instead of doing just a song that he already released being the last song. I think because initially this he's like, here was 44, but here's 44 more, or whatever that lyric was. I was thinking, oh, okay, that's going to be the intro, that's going to be the first song, and then he's going to have all these songs. But now it's like, now it being the last song, I'm assuming that he's going to have another album, another maybe 1 or 2 albums that will equal 44 more songs. At least that's my guess. I don't know if it's...
Well, it's 44 because it's 44 bars.
Oh, really? Is that it?
Yeah. And so he's ending the song, or ending the album with 44 more to kind of be like, despite everything you say, this is what I took from it, despite everything you might think about the album, I ended it with this. I ended it with 44 killer bars.
Oh, okay.
I did it once and I did it again.
Okay. Well, then never mind. I like your interpretation better. I definitely did not think... I was just thinking 44 whole songs, and I was like, oh, the next Logic song is going to have 44 songs. That'd be really awesome.
Yeah. And he even references, like you said, how he's released like an album every single year for the past, 9 years or
yeah.
whatever. He even has that line where he's like, "Who you know dropped an album back to back to back to back to back to back to back again," and it's like it was just a very clever song. It was very very good, and it has even those like shout outs and stuff in it and other things. And it has the kind of more trap flavored beat, and it has the kind of mix ups and stuff. It has everything from the rest of the album, but done sparingly and more like tight in line, and it works for the song.
That makes sense. I agree. I don't know. I like that every day is a more sing-songy, because I think I like songs more if I can like sing along with it and like rap along with it. So I don't know. I do agree that 44 More is a solid song. I just like Every Day more because it's every day, bro. Anyways.
Right.
Okay, so closing remarks on the album before we jump into Old Logic, and then you totally will hate this album even more.
I mean, like I said, it's a barely listenable album for me. I'm just I listened to the thing is I didn't hate it when I'm listening to it. I was just kind of like as soon as it started getting repetitive, I was like, all right, I'm done. Can we hurry it up? It's one of those things where if someone were to pop it on in the car, driving down the road, I'd be like, all right, cool. But I would not want to listen to the whole album in one sitting.
True. Yeah.
Like pop on a couple tracks, jam out, have some fun, get lit, and then like move to a new playlist, move to the next artist and whatnot.
Sure. You're not gonna have like a conversation with a friend chilling at a house, just having good music in the background, because this wouldn't be the good music. You'd play something else. And
I guess in the end that makes sense, because this is a mixtape, right? Or it's an EP, it's a mixtape. It's not an album. It's not one full cohesive.
I know, and that's my issue, is that yes it is a EP thing, whatever. It's not a fully, but it's still the fact that he has released, like, okay. And at this point, I guess we'll talk about Bobby Tarantino 1 real quick. And unfortunately, Cole, you won't be able to participate more in the conversation. But with Bobby Tarantino 1, even though it was an EP and a mixtape, and I've even played a couple songs, if you remember, like the Super Mario World one. But anyways, I think those songs were a lot more better produced, I think is the word that I'm looking for. And it had the instrumentation was more interesting, and sure, it was repetitive at some parts, but it was different. And because like I feel like with some of these songs, if you just kind of blended them all into one long song, you wouldn't really be able to tell. Obviously there'd be a change in rhythm and stuff like that, but like the kind of style that he's going with that the synthesizer, drums, and whatever, it's kind of all the same sounding. Whereas with the first Bobby Tarantino, it was definitely, each song was different. It was a different song from left to right, and then with this one, it was just kind of like so
right. And I think that comes down to, though, the type of music he's trying to make on this new album.
True.
Because the trap music and like these triplet flows and all that kind of stuff, that stuff already is very repetitive, because it's all based around getting stuck in your head. It's all hook based. Right. It's purposefully repetitive, and so each song you can only do so much with it with that kind of style. Versus the older albums, if he is doing more elaborate beats and not these style beats, they're all going to sound slightly different.
No, I agree,
because that's just it's the subgenres of hip hop.
All right, well then I don't want Logic to do trap rap. That's my final statement before we jump into the next section. All right, and we are back. We have just taken a short break to listen to some of the old tracks. And I just want this to be kind of a quick thing. This is not a deep dive into who Logic is as an artist, but what did you think? So I tried to play kind of a spectrum of the differences for you, kind of the what he could sound like in terms of the instrumental and the composition and the random beats thrown in, and kind of the unique sound, at least what my perception of his unique sound, all the way to just having a basic beat and then being able to rap on it, and just being able to throw down verses, and just that constant. But even if it is a repetitive song, in terms of the instrumental, and it's not doing anything different, it's just I can flow. I've got it. I can link words together to make it, almost like kind of the Eminem style, where it just constant flow. So, what did you think of that in comparison?
These songs are definitely way better than Bobby Tarantino too.
Okay, awesome. Boom, done. We're done. That is it, everybody. I'm just kidding.
I mean, the instrumentals, they were fuller, more interesting. The thing is, I kind of like trap beats sometimes when they're interesting. I thought on Bobby Tarantino too, there were some good beats that I actually did enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, like I said, they get repetitive when you listen to them back to back.
Right.
So, like, some of these songs that you had me listen to, Intro, I'm Gone, Driving Miss Daisy, Run It, I enjoyed all those instrumentals. I didn't think a lot of them were as interesting as Bobby Tarantino too. Like, Run It had a very basic beat.
Sure.
But like you said, he makes up for that by just relying solely on his vocals, his verse. Which that's my favorite type of song. Like, MF Doom type of thing. I couldn't care less about choruses and stuff. I enjoy raw verse and bars. That's my personal favorite in rap. I really enjoyed Driving Miss Daisy. It was a nice vibe song, good bump. Gambino was good on it.
Yeah.
Enjoyed his stuff. It was a very fun song. I'm Gone. I wasn't the biggest fan of I'm Gone, but I really enjoyed the instrumental on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I really enjoyed Intro. A really nice instrumental.
Yeah.
The sing-songiness to it was really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Though, at least from what I can tell, I'm not a music guy. I don't mix music, so maybe I'm just like completely stupid. But to me, it sounded like his voice was definitely auto-tuned on that.
Yeah, and you
heavy filter.
You mentioned that, and I couldn't tell. Granted, I don't think I've really listened to it. I've always listened to it in the car or like on a speaker or whatever, so I don't have like the intimacy of the headphones. I never really caught it, but I think with that, it's just kind of sprinkled.
Right. Well, see, with that it's a different kind of thing, because on that, it clearly is just for keeping his voice in line.
True.
And making it sound good and smooth. With Bobby Tarantino too, it is for the effect.
Right.
That's the difference. So when I say on Intro his voice was auto-tuned or filter, I'm not saying it sounds
right
and stuff. I'm just saying it
used.
doesn't sound like raw vocals to me.
Right. Well, okay. So one thing, again, because of the limit of time, and I don't want to keep you forever. You have a wide range where I think you in kind of the quote unquote deep tracks for Under Pressure, and definitely going just starting to finish of The Incredible True Story. It definitely, you can see, I think, Logic shine a lot better with his flow and his rhyming style and kind of the overall attitude and kind of level that he's at for each album. Each individual song, I think, is a shining example of that. And so, like I said, because of the time, because Under Pressure, the actual the song Under Pressure, it's like almost a 10-minute song, but I think it is a very well done song, and I'm pretty sure I linked it to you, so I'm not sure if you listened to it or not, which is fine.
I
okay,
did.
yeah,
I enjoyed it.
So it's like in whatever Till the End or whatever that I linked to you. We didn't listen to it, but well, at least now we didn't listen to it. But those two songs, immediately from the get go, you get that kind of full sense, and I guess that's really my main complaint. And as you've expressed that, he's kind of going for that trap sound in some of his songs. It's definitely kind of like a I don't know. For me, it detracts from it, and again, and that's why I texted you on my second listen through. I kind of liked it a little better because you get that mentality. It's not like you're experiencing this from the first time and you're like, oh, what is Logic doing? What is he? Oh my gosh, what? Like, you kind of, okay, this is what the sound of the EP is. Now let's try and re-listen to it. So,
right.
So then let me ask you. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, do you like the early Logic or the kind of that style, Bobby Tarantino style?
Right. So yeah, that it comes down to just personal music taste.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't know if Bobby Tarantino 2 is good or not. because I just personally don't like that kind of stuff. I don't listen to a lot of the current in the limelight rappers that are out there because I just don't enjoy that kind of those flows and those instrumentals. I definitely enjoy older Logic a lot more. From those songs I heard, it sounds like he has something to say. It sounds like he, is utilizing every aspect from the instrumental to his words to his vocals. Bobby Tarantino 2 comes off as it's him trying to have fun, trying to do that trap stuff and just kind of doing whatever he wants to do. Whether that's actually good or not, I guess other people who are fans of that kind of music can decide on their own. To me, it almost sounds like he's just goofing off and having fun.
Okay, yeah.
In the end, might not be a bad thing. But for me, I don't care too much for it.
And that's fine. Okay, so just to kind of wrap it up, and then we can just say our final thoughts. Listening to and I guess I guess it's kind of hard now that you've kind of differentiated the two to say, like, after hearing what he can do and what he has done and kind of that, I feel like I've given you a taste of his overall style of older Logic. Does that make your opinions on the EP worse, better, different, indifferent?
I mean, I don't think it changes it. I think it more just leaves me wanting to go listen to the old Logic. I'd rather pop on an Under Pressure or Incredible True Story than Bobby Tarantino 2.
Okay, all right, no, and that's fair. I don't know. I just think hopefully moving forward, if he does another song or another album or whatever he does in the future, I just and I guess that's also a preference. That's why I'm pushing it so hard. Is I love whenever you kind of have the orchestral sort of that really and like I've said before, just that really full sound where you're getting, it's not just something that I can hear you doing on GarageBand, or that you can just spend 20 minutes in the studio, make a beat, add some licks here and there, but like an actual like and one thing I'll reference, Watsky. A lot of his songs he'll post on his YouTube channel a live studio version where he has the strings, or he has the drummer and the bassist and the guitar, and it's just like a it's a rock band, but they're rapping and singing and stuff like that, and that's what I really like. Right. Is just and I don't know, I mean, and that's just because, like, again, I'll also reference Muse, their early albums. It's definitely, they utilize that rock orchestral sound, but it's still that, it's still Muse, but it's they've taken it to, like I said, a more holistic sound, I guess, if that's a term. So, yeah. And I think Logic thrives when he has kind of that big band behind him instead of just it's him in the studio rapping. Which, again, with the verses and stuff like that, I think he definitely can lay down verses, and he can, he can put a clever verse together. But just, I guess, how much time and how much effort he puts into the song determines, the output of it.
See, I guess that's where I'm a little, like, we reach the same conclusion, you and I, our opinion on the album, but from different directions, where my issue with the Bobby Tarantino wasn't necessarily the instrumentals, even though they did get repetitive. I actually enjoyed the tracks like Warm It Up and 44 More, where the instrumental you didn't personally enjoy, because it's not that big orchestral or fuller beat or whatever. I actually really enjoyed those because it was a trap beat or a whatever beat that then has his lyrical content on it, his flow and his delivery kind of at a fuller level than the repeating chorus and the shout out songs.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree of your analysis. So, yeah, so that's it. I think definitely not having to do a deep dive of the entire who is Logic as a person. All right, so on a scale of 1 to 10, I know you said at the very beginning you thought it was kind of okay at best. So let's give it a solid number. Well, on the Fantano scale, what is his rating?
Man, I was trying to think about that earlier because I don't usually give things a number rating. If I was being nice. It's between a 4 and a 6, so I'm just gonna say it's a solid 5.
Okay,
maybe.
No, I mean, that's a fair. I would say it's a 4 for me. I think I said earlier I said a 3, but then kind of re-listening to it, I go with the 4. I think for me personally, it's a solid 4, and that's solely just because I know what he can do and I know what he does before, or what he has done before. I think if he put more time into the songs, he probably could have gotten a 5 or a 6 out of the album. But just some of the songs were just kind of duds for me. They weren't horrible, they just weren't great. And so I think when you have that kind of, you were not able to get that consistency going, I think that's what lowers it for me. So I would say, I mean, again, love Logic. I think he's great. I think his message and his personality is. I definitely will listen to his next album if he drops a next album or another single. For me personally, I think it's a 4.
And do you still think this is worse than Eminem's Revival?
I'd have to take some time to think about. I'm not sure about that one.
No.
But yeah, so that is it. Thank you so much for everyone to listening and watching, and hopefully we didn't say anything to trigger you and totally throw you off of this. But if you made it to the end, definitely leave a comment. What did you think? Any other similar artists like that you can appreciate / take a different direction. But yeah, this has been a One More podcast. Thank you, Cole. I would love to try and incorporate you in just a regular podcast in the future. Try and figure out how to do that.
Sure.
But yeah, other than that, have a great day or night or whenever you're listening to it, guys. Peace. And that is the end of the show. I really hope you enjoyed it. Just remember, this thing is sponsored by Haven Cottage Event Center, and I am making up the words as I sing this song, but make sure to give them a call or an email if you want to do something that is small or medium. And that's about it.
This is the end song. It is now over.